Hi, my name is Alisa Taran. I am now currently the English language intervention teacher for Maine's Elementary School in Calexico, California. This will be my first year in this position, but previously I have taught 5th and 2nd and a 2nd and 3rd grade combination, also in Calexico Unified School District. As a teacher in general, we're in charge of curriculum, we're in charge of understanding our students, taking care of our students. A big one is intervention with our students, differentiation. And now in my new position as an English language intervention teacher, I'm in charge of pulling out the students who need like a little push to excel in the English Language Performance Assessment of California, also known as the LPAC. So my new goal and my new job role is to take out those students, to help them performance in reading, writing, math, to develop language skills, and to also eventually test out of that test. It's very time consuming, that test. It's very difficult to take over and over again. So in my position, we're trying to help those kids to get out of this testing system, to get out of this repetitive testing, because you know what, they do know things. It's just they need it at their level to feel focused and to learn strategies that sometimes their homeroom teachers need a little more help in, and that's what I'm here for. So for the teaching position first, of course, I needed to have the 4-year university credentialing program to pass all the CSETs, the CBEST before to be a substitute, the RECA, and then I believe it's still a thing, the EdTPA, which is the Educational Teacher Performance Assessment, which is really huge. They analyze a video of who you are as a teacher, and that's very time consuming. And then from there, that's how you become a credential teacher, preliminary. And then after 2 years, you do the induction through your county, and you do a course how to be a better teacher, how to use skills that teachers need to be in the classroom. And then when you pass that, it's like an assessment. You give your feedback of what you learned, and you do like a little case study with your class, and you present it. For me, because of COVID, I presented it via video, so they viewed my video, and I excelled in all positions, which gave me the preliminary. Now in my new position, what I had to do was I had to interview, and I had to show what I knew about English language learners. I had to show how I would do interventions, what my classroom would be like. For example, if I'm having English language learners, they need skills that they don't already know, and I have to have tactile information, things on the wall. I have to explain all these, how to use data. Data is a big one, so if we know a student's testing in intermediate or a level 2 or 3, how do I know that? Why do I know that? What's the scoring? How does the scoring system work? And that's very confusing if you're not looking at it, because you see a score, but what does that score mean? So now what I have to do is dig deep into their scores and say, okay, reading wasn't their strong suit, but speaking was. Let's excel in speaking, because then it will help them in reading. So that's my whole new position now. So my new work schedule is going to be probably 7:30 in the morning, getting into my classroom, setting up for the day, helping teachers. I know a big part of my job now is to help teachers throughout the day if they need help. Like, I need a new strategy for speaking, what can I do? Or what standard goes best with this language arts standard? And I think for a lot of people, ELD is all day long. So you have to pick a standard. So basically all day long, I know I want to help teachers all day, but I'm also there for my students. So from my understanding, every hour I'm going to work with a new set of students, max 10 per grade level. So we start off the first trimester, which is from August to November. We work with 1st grade through 6th grade. So every 45 minutes, I'll get a new group. And we usually start with the level 3s, the ones that were like almost there to 4, because 4 they will test out, hopefully. And so we work with those. And then the next semester we work with levels 2s, because they're almost there too, and LPAC is right in the corner. And then level 1s at the end of the year, because we're hoping throughout the school year we're getting the skills in their classroom, so that when they come to me, they're preparing for the next year to hopefully excel and test out. So all day long I should be there from 8 o'clock to 3:10, but I know it's every single hour. I wish I had a schedule already with you for me, but that's what we're doing now. I have 2 parents that are teachers, so I think that was a big influence. But I always tell people the moment I knew was kindergarten. I knew in kindergarten I was going to be a teacher. I remember I didn't get why my best friend couldn't read in kindergarten, and I said, it's so easy. But I have to realize that I had 2 parents and a grandmother very involved in my education. So I remember sitting with her. It was Rockwood Elementary. It was in those circle domes that they had. And I remember I asked my teacher, can I take a book to recess? and I told my friend, we're going to learn how to read. And that was a moment that I knew I was going to be a teacher, and I felt it in my heart. And it also helps that I have two parents that are in it, and I've seen them excel as teachers. But that was a moment in kindergarten. If everyone says when was the moment, it was kindergarten. 5 years old, I knew I was going to be a teacher. And I didn't know what kind of teacher, but I knew I was going to be a teacher. The most rewarded is when parents tell me that their kids love to be in my class. Recently, I was independent studies, and that was very hard because there's kids that want to be in the classroom, but this whole pandemic affected a lot of them. But this one parent said to me, we use Class Dojo, a little app to talk to parents. This one parent sent me a very beautiful message, and they said, this was a hard year, but my daughter looked forward to seeing you every day for that 1 hour. And I think those little things matter because for me, it was hard. 1 hour, what impact am I going to make besides them seeing me on the computer? But little things like that make me feel better for these kids. Or when I have students that I had second graders or fourth graders, they would come into me saying, I remember when you taught us this in science, or I remember the story we read about the gold, and I remember the story of the gold of marigold, a Greek mythology, and they remember little things like that. So recently, those things have made me feel good about being a teacher and most rewarded, because sometimes I think teaching's a very hard and sometimes forgetful career that people oversee. So when little things like that come from students, I think it makes me stay. It makes me want to stay here forever. Take every day with a new challenge and a new heart. Teaching is a very hard career. I always say that, and I never want to discourage somebody from being a teacher because we need teachers. But you have to realize you're teaching because you want to make an impact. You want kids to be good. You want them to read. You want them to write. You want them to be successful in life. And I think within the last year, that's all I wanted, was for students to feel like that. And when people tell me, well, I'm thinking about being a teacher, I want them to say, you're going to love it. Because teaching is a work from your heart, a heart, like they say, because it's something that you have to go in with love and understanding, and it's very time consuming, but there's a way to manage it. And I think over the years, you'll learn how to manage it. And I can honestly say that it's taken me time to understand what being a teacher is, what planning is, and that it's going to come eventually naturally for you to figure out activities. It's going to be hard, but if this is what your heart is saying, it's going to work out. I think it's important to value yourself as a teacher, to understand why you're in that career. There's going to be a lot of, I want to say, bumpy roads. And so I know you asked me what it is, but you have to picture yourself, this is what you wanted, and you have to make time for yourself as a teacher, because you could be on the computer all day long, calling parents all day long, but it's also about setting boundaries for yourself. And that's hard for me because I want to be there for everybody at one time, but you'll learn and understand what boundaries are as a teacher and how to help people when it's needed, when it's not, saying yes to things, saying no to things. Eventually they come, and it's hard, it really is, but I think that's important to understand that you come first, and then your career and everything else is going to work out.